It is my pleasure to welcome you to the eighth and penultimate section of the crash course Marketing, Market-Oriented Business Management. This section is about delivering value to customer. In other words, it is the third P of the marketing mix place. How do we get our products to the customer? So the distribution. As usual in life, you should get the basics right. Therefore, I would like to introduce you to the basic terminology of place. A distribution channel, also called marketing channel, you can understand from two perspectives. Firstly, it is all the functions that deliver products after their production to the end user, to the customer. Secondly, you should understand the distribution channel or marketing channel as the relationships between organizations, normally companies, and or persons which make the products accessible for customers. So simplified distribution channel you see on the right hand side here. We have a manufacturer, a retailer, and a consumer. The products are moving from the manufacturer through the retailer to the consumer. On the other side, we're not doing anything for free in business administration. We're getting money from the consumer to the retailer to the manufacturer. Now, what is distribution or marketing channel management? That is designing, evaluating, and managing the distribution of products to customers. When doing this, when being in distribution or marketing channel management, you have two, one could argue, three objectives. And as usual, it is about effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness means you want to make it as easy as possible for as many customers as possible to purchase the offered brands, your brands and products. We want to make a profit. This is business administration, and that is not the purpose, the objective of a company. So on the other hand, we look at efficiency, and we want to minimize the distribution cost so that we can maximize our profit or contribution margin coming from the channel or the channels we have chosen. Finally, it's more like a double check. Do not only look at effectiveness and efficiency, also look at integration. Make sure that the distribution channels fit your overall brand strategy and brand identity. It would not be too consistent if you have a £2,000 handbag and that is distributed through some discount retail chain. When talking about distribution channel management and distribution in general, delivering value to customers, one should understand push and pull marketing. Push marketing is pushing the product from the manufacturer into the retailers, and the retailers are pushing the product to the consumers. So you're selling into the shops, and the shops are selling to the consumers. On the other side, you have pull marketing. In this case, a manufacturer creates a demand, a strong wish and desire of the customer to get this brand, and then the consumers pulling the brands out of the retailer and therewith, if you will, forcing the retailer to pull the brands from the manufacturer. So push marketing, pushing the brands into the shops, and from there pushing the brands to the consumers. Pull marketing, create strong brands on the demand side and the demand so that the consumers pull the brands into the retailers. When typically when to apply push and pull marketing. When the involvement, the brand differentiation, brand loyalty, this is rather low, then you go for push marketing. So pasta, groceries, that is rather push marketing. When the involvement of the customers with this product category, the brand differentiation within this product category, and the brand loyalty on the side of the customer is rather high, you go for pull marketing. Such things you find rather on the high-end side. Think of luxury cars and similar products. Then you go rather for pull marketing. But large and strong brands normally go with a combination of push and pull marketing. And they also should do this. Think of all the giant soft drink manufacturers, Coke and Pepsi. They, of course, selling into the shops, pushing the product in. They have contact to the retailers, the food retailer chains, and other distributors. But they also have their advertising out, their other promotions with a Coke truck or these Pepsi guys dancing around. This is then pull marketing, creating a demand on the side of the customers. Here you can already see that distribution channels are combined. It's normally not just one channel you're going through. Therefore, when you have to deal with distribution, look at your overall system. And quite often you go through more than one channel. There might be more steps, but in the distribution chain, but these are the main approaches. As a manufacturer, you can directly sell to the consumer, for instance, through an online shop. As a manufacturer, you can go through a retailer and the retailer sells to the consumer. Like a large soft drink company that sells to the supermarket chain, the grocers, and they are selling on. Or you go with a step before, you sell to a wholesaler and he sells through to normally several retailers, which in turn sell to the consumer. Such systems you have in a similar way with B2B marketing. You can of course go directly to your customer. You can go through a sales agent. You can have your sales force out that goes to a sales agent, goes to the end customer, and your sales force of course can directly go to the end customer. Think of exports, international markets. You might have a manufacturer, a great engineering company, but not the greatest of competencies when it comes to international selling. So they sell to an export agent. Then the export agent will sell to an import agent in the target country, who then goes to a wholesaler, who goes to the retailer in the target country, who then goes to the end user. That is a bit of an extreme, but normally in the international market, or often, normally is the wrong word, often you have import-export agents in this sales channel system. And of course, you can combine or have several sales channels running parallelly. And how to design such a comprehensive sales channel system, I'd like to show you on the next slide, which is about distribution channel engineering with a simplified example. So you should go through 4 steps, and you determine your target group. You analyze the buying behavior of a target group. What distribution points are they using? To what end? So what is the purpose the customer has when using a distribution point? You choose your marketing or distribution points that you want to go through so that you reach your target group, and then you work your way backwards from the distribution points to use a manufacturer. Through which steps do you need to go? So let's assume we have decided target group X, that is our target group. Then we analyze what is target group X doing, what distribution points, online shops, retailers are they using, and to what end. Do they just want to get information? Do they actually purchase something through this distribution point, and so forth? In our example, let's assume target group X informs itself, compares brands, and randomly buys brands through online shop A. Furthermore, target group X regularly buys from brick-and-mortar shops B, C, and D. Now, what we want to do is we want to get, choosing our marketing points, we want to go through online shop A and the stationary shops B, C, and D. Now we work our way backwards from the consumer through the retailer, through the wholesaler to us. And assume online shop A and the stationary shop B, we can access directly, we can deliver to them. But stationary shops C and D, we do not have direct access, we must go through wholesaler E. Our system will then look like this. We have worked our way backwards from the target group through the marketing points through the wholesaler to us. So we would directly deliver to online shop A, retailer B, and indirectly approach retailer C and D through wholesaler E, so that we can cover virtually the entirety of target group X and their buying behavior. We also need to decide what is our market coverage and how do we select our intermediaries, the wholesalers, the retailers. And if you want to characterize this, you have three options: inclusive distribution, selective, and intensive. See these categorizations rather gradual and not as hard or clearly distinguishable categories. Exclusive distribution means we are only using one or very few distribution channels, and that is typically applied to special goods. But the involvement is high, they're rather a bit costly, the price is rather up, and they have the appearance of being high-end, providing high value. An example might be exclusive cars. Selective distribution is then utilizing a limited number of distribution channels. So these are shopping goods. This is a middle ground. There's a bit of involvement. There's a bit of risk with the purchase to the customer, but it's not an extensive buying process. One example might be apparel. And finally, intensive distribution. We are using virtually every available distribution channel. We're going in very broad. Typically, this is applied when having convenience goods, food and beverage. However, as I said earlier, you cannot have a clear-cut distinction between these categories. Apparel, if you think of large sportswear and shoe companies like Nike, Puma, Adidas, they have a very extensive distribution channel system. All right, but how to select your intermediaries? Again, it comes back to effectiveness and to efficiency. I said earlier, we want to make it as easy as possible for as many customers as possible to get our products. So the market coverage of the intermediaries, be it a wholesaler, be it a retailer, that is of concern to us, to get to as many customers as possible. We also should look at the resources and competencies of the intermediary. Does the intermediary, the wholesaler, the retailer, has the ability and the resources to go into the market as broadly as possible? On the other hand, the efficiency. Again, cost is a nasty thing. We do not want to pay too much. So we should look that the intermediary, the retailer or wholesaler, is not overcharging us. Furthermore, we should make sure or anticipate that the intermediary is willing to cooperate with us and work in our interest. That's a different company. They have their own agenda, their own objectives, but these objectives should align with ours. So the willingness to cooperate is something one should not underestimate. How to evaluate your distribution channels. Two approaches: economic evaluation, and then, if you will, again, double check something in this direction, evaluate the brand channel fit. Let's go to the economic evaluation. Of course, we want to make a profit. Therefore, we should look what can the channel we're choosing contribute to our profit. And that would be the contribution margin per product times sales minus the cost of the channel. You can also go through a break-even point analysis, look at the break-even point. How much do we need, or how many products do we need to sell through a channel so that the channel has a positive contribution to us? That's the break-even point, is the channel cost divided by the contribution margin. On the right-hand side is an example. Let's assume we have a product with £10. We have variable cost per unit as £5. That means the contribution margin that adds to covering our fixed cost, and after having done this, adding to our profit, is £5. Assuming we have only fixed costs with our channel, and these fixed costs are £1,000. So it is £1,000 divided by the contribution margin of £5, with a break-even point of 200. Then we ask ourselves, is it realistic that this distribution channel will produce 200 sales or more? If yes, happy days, we can go for it. If no, unhappy days, very bad idea to choose this channel. Here I was only arguing with fixed cost. You must consider variable cost too, because normally sales agents, they want to have variable cost. They want to be rewarded for selling many and many products. Therefore, keep the variable cost in mind. And for the variable cost, to keep them in mind, I would like to come to a comparison of a company sales force and a sales agent. In this figure, you have the number of sales, so number of products you're selling on the x-axis, and the cost on the y-axis. If we are going with our own sales force, we have fixed cost. It's the wages that our employees who are working as salespersons for us are getting. When they are successful and selling a lot of products, they normally get step by step a bonus. So our costs go up gradually and after a while. If you use a sales agent, an external company or person, we not necessarily, but normally we have to pay a minimum commission, and then for each unit he's selling for us, we have to pay an extra commission. So this is the Royal Air Force blue line that goes up and is definitely going up every time the sales agent is selling a product for us. And that means if we're going into a small market, not so many customers, we're better off with a sales agent, as the costs are lower than our own sales force. If we're going into a large market where we can expect a huge number of sales, our sales force will be more cost effective. Now, as I said earlier, it is the cost and the return we're getting, but part of getting return is the sales channel should be in line with our brand identity and brand image. So after we have, on a strategic level, analyzed our brand, we know who our target group is and what they're expecting. Then we should have a look at the target group and their preferences for distribution channels. Secondly, we look, is the brand identity of our brand and the image of the distribution channel, are they similar? When brand identity and channel image match, happy days. When brand identity and channel image does not match or do not match, unhappy days. I've given the example before. A £2,000 handbag, £2,000 handbag through a discount retailer, probably that will cause some hiccups in the brains of your target group. We're dealing with, if we're simplifying this, we're dealing with retailers, manufacturer and retailer, and there might be potential conflicts. You can see these conflicts on the 4 P's of the marketing mix: product, price, place, promotion. So what are the objectives of the manufacturer and the retailer? The manufacturer is looking that his brand image is in the forefront. The single products should be in the forefront so that they are deeply ingrained in the hearts and minds of the customers. He wants to get his entire portfolio into the shelves. The retailer, on the other hand, he doesn't care about the brand image of one product. He wants a good image, a good perception of the entire assortment that he has. And he's looking on tops and flops, saying which brands and products are helping me and which not. And I do not care at all if I have to get the entire brand portfolio in of a manufacturer or not. And then what came up in recent decades is, in supermarkets, especially the private labels. So the brands, the retailers' brands that the retailers, the supermarkets get out themselves. That is, of course, not in the interest of the manufacturers. They want their brands in the forefront. The price, that is probably the most obvious one. Everybody wants to make a profit, the manufacturer and the retailer. So the manufacturer would like to see a low retail margin, that he gets most of the profit that is theoretically possible. Whilst the retailer, he wants to have a high retail margin. He wants to acquire the products at a low price from the manufacturer and selling them at the regular or high price to the customer. The manufacturer wants to be able to plan ahead, and he likes standardized and stable prices. Whilst the retailer would very much, or typically would very much like to differentiate the price with regard to time, so seasonal price differentiation and regional price differentiation, that areas or countries with a low purchasing power pay a lower price, and areas with high purchasing power pay a higher price. Place, distribution, just the section we are in. A manufacturer would like to have a continuous flow of his products, so continuous distribution and, of course, large quantities. He would like to plan ahead. That is his view. The retailer does not like to store the products. It's just cost that he has. He prefers, typically, just-in-time delivery. Whenever the demand comes up, then the product should be delivered from the manufacturer and not earlier. The manufacturer would like to have multiple channels out there. As I said earlier, what is the objective of one of the objectives of distribution policy? It is make it your customers make it as many customers as possible, as easy as possible to get to your products. The retailer, on the other hand, typically likes to differentiate himself from his competitors, and therefore would like to have an exclusive distribution to say, this brand you only get from us. Within the shop, so the point of sale, the manufacturer likes to have a central position for his brands in the shelves. The retailer doesn't mind what the manufacturer thinks. He would like to position the products or brands in the shelves according to the entire assortment and according to how much money he can make out of the brands he offers there. And think of your last visit to a supermarket. The most expensive brands, where the highest profit or contribution margin is in, are an eye level. As a manufacturer, you want your brands there. The next most expensive brands are a bit higher, so that you have to reach to it, reach up with your hands to grab it. And the really low-cost offers, they are on the bottom of the shelf that you have to bend down and do a bit of work to get them. Such shelf positions, retailer looks, what is best for my assortment and for me to make money? The manufacturer likes to be on eye level in a supermarket. Promotion, the communication side. The manufacturer would like to create brand preference for his brands and, of course, create loyalty. His focus is normally transregional communication and not just limited to the retailer and his local target area. And of course, he would like to stage the brand on the point of sale, to have the communication, or have control over the communication in the shops. The retailer, on the other hand, he does not care if there is brand preference and loyalty to its manufacturer brands. He would like to create brand and he would like customer loyalty. He would like to create customer loyalty to the retailer, to himself. And of course, the retailer's communication has regional focus. If there's a supermarket in London, it does not really make sense to have loyal customers in the north of Scotland. And of course, probably that is quite obvious, a retailer does not like anyone else fiddling in his affairs and telling him how to stage his point of sale. With these conflicts or potential conflicts out of the way, what happened in recent decades? And that is something what is called vertical integration of the distribution channel. To explain, simplified distribution chain here in the middle. Manufacturer delivers products to retailer, retailer delivers to the consumer. Now forward integration, going forward in this chain, is when the manufacturer controls the retailer. Backward integration, going backward in this chain, is you have when the retailer controls the manufacturer. How can a manufacturer control a retailer? Through ownership. Just think of a factory outlet. It's our own company or own retail store. Full control. There might be franchising. Like fast food chains, they normally work as a franchise business, meaning they sell their business model and the franchisee knows, all right, there's a business model that is working out, it's proven, so I take it and apply it. But he's forced to do what HQ, the franchisor, tells him to do. Finally, it might be just the bargaining power. If there's a large manufacturer and there's a small shop, and the large manufacturer tells the small shop what to do, what should he do? Otherwise, the other option might be he just will not be delivered anymore with the manufacturer's brands. On the other hand, we could also go the other direction. The retailers control the manufacturers. Again, ownership, own production facilities through contract, licensed production, or bargaining power. A huge retail chain controls through their strength in the market small manufacturers. Now, having talked a lot about retail, I would like to give you a bit of an insight what is going on in retail. Not into every detail, but I would like to give you the example of food retail, grocers, and here the German food retail market. So a retailer sells products, that's the definition, to consumers without substantially modifying the pre-produced and pre-purchased products. Here is the performance categories and elements of a store. As I said, that is German food. This is from a research project that was covering the German food retail market before and after the COVID-19 pandemic. As a retailer, you offer your product range, your services, your pricing, location appeal, and the communication. It is similar to the general marketing mix, but slightly adjusted. Within the product range, what can you do and what might be of importance to your target group is the width of your product range, the depth, the quality of your products, and recently it became more important that you have socially responsible products like fair trade, sustainability, and all these things. With services, it's a personnel that's active in your shops, self-services like self-checkout. How are you going about complaints and replacement? And for food retailers, order and delivery services, but not limited to food retailers. On the pricing side, the price level, the discounts, customer loyalty cards, and one could say the payment options. For the store itself, the location appeal, it should be easy accessible, having good parking facilities, the design, the interior of the shop, and the opening hours. And then communication, product, how good are you informing about your product, your company, and how good are you having a dialogue with your customers. Now, this research project, my co-authors and I looked at how important are these elements, the performance categories and performance elements, to the customers in Germany, and how good are they perceived within the food retail market. The results are here. The norm value, that is the relevance, is on the y-axis, whilst the quality on a scale from 0 not good to 100 very good is on the x-axis. You can see the performance categories here. Always before and after the COVID-19 pandemic. Location appeal as the most important on the y-axis and the best element from the perspective of the German food retail customers. Product range, the same. Pricing is then less important and quality is a bit less. Service is not really great, but it's also not too important. And all the communication outside the shop is not good and also not too important to the customers. What you can see is here again, like so often in life, get the basics right. And the basics are the typical retail functions. I need to have an appropriate shop. I need to have a good product range. This is why the people come to buy the products. And as they have to pay for it, the pricing should be appealing. And the additional value the customer can get out of it through services and communication is not too important. You can also look at this in more detail, but I would not like to go into every aspect of the performance elements of German food retailers before and at the end of the COVID-19 pandemic. If you're interested, check out the publication as by me and two co-authors. It's customer expectations and their fulfillment in the German food retail market before and during the COVID-19 pandemic. With this short insight into retail, and I hope I could give you an idea how retail works, I would like to end this section. And the next time it will be about promotion, the last P of the marketing mix. Until then, I wish you all the best, and it is bye-bye for now.